No chemicals or preservatives, just 100% honest to goodness hickory smoked meat.
Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Boy, some chicken wings have really hit the spot.
You ain't got no better food, like some chicken wings, some baby back ribs, some fries or something?
That's just two guys talking, am I right? We're just talking.
Hey, howdy, hey. I was just doing the biggest yawn as our camera cut in. My bad, everybody.
It's all good. I know I was pulling up our notes and looked over and saw the yawn. I was like, guess I'm on the start.
That was a big one. Sorry. Mistimed.
Oh, how
Welcome
you doing,
to the
Mike?
number one barbecue podcast.
The number one podcast.
The number one podcast. I forgot we dropped that distinction.
Yeah. In the Western United States.
Yep. Undisputed. Please dispute. So we know people are listening. Yeah. How you doing with daylight savings time?
I hate coming home in the dark.
Yeah.
That's pretty lame.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think daylight saving is stupid.
I do too. It seems like every year somebody's trying to drop legislation to stop it, and then it doesn't happen. It's almost like people are like, yeah, nobody cares. So
I care.
I do too. I don't see the point.
Let's stop arguing over silly things like recreational marijuana.
Yeah. And let's get
and
serious
deal with
with
daylight savings.
Because right now, I feel like it's 1 a.m. when I get home from work because it's so dark outside.
Yeah. Well, and my aunt lives in Phoenix.
Oh.
And I talk to her frequently.
Yeah, it's not there.
They don't do daylight savings.
Have they ever? Because I don't think they did.
Yeah.
Even when I was in high school, they weren't doing that.
They did at one point. Like, I think everybody did. They were just early to the party of like, this is dumb.
Turns out this is stupid.
Yeah. But so she bounces between Mountain and Pacific. And my uncle and all my cousins are on Pacific time, and we're on Mountain time. So she bounces back and forth.
Huh?
And it confuses all of us every time.
I remember I read once, and I don't even know how legit this is. I'm pretty sure I saw it on social media back when social media was still young. But it said an old, Indian chief once said only a white man would cut an inch off of one end of a rope and tie it to the other end of the rope and call it a longer rope. That's actually pretty good description of what we're trying to do here. So, anyway.
Yep. Yeah, heaven forbid we just get up a little earlier.
Yeah, quite you.
Yeah.
Sometimes Siri does that, and I think it's because my wrist is so fat that when I adjust, I hit the thing.
So I got a new watch.
Uh-huh.
I got the Ultra.
Oh, okay. Is that the newest one?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, the Ultra 2.
Uh-huh.
It's big. And I've a couple of times I've turned my watch around so the crown's on the other side.
Uh-huh.
Because when I go to stand up
Yes.
or I'm sitting typing, I'm forever turning the crown or
Yeah.
I don't know. You're not alone.
Well,
Big man
the
problems.
struggle is real.
Oh.
Struggle is real.
Hey, so winter showed up.
Right? Did fall even happen? I feel like we went straight from summer to winter.
It was kind of a cool day on Saturday. I looked at the forecast and I was like, oh, it's going to be cool. And I woke up Sunday morning to 3 inches of snow.
Oh my god.
To the point I had early church meetings that I came back in, I went out and I was like, oh, well, all right, I'll scrape off my truck. Nope. Came back inside, got Haley's car because it was in the garage.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty wild. It snowed a lot, and it was the wet, heavy snow, but it was also cold, so it
it
crusted
froze.
over pretty good.
But then it all melted.
Yeah.
In a couple of hours.
Now everything's gone. But it's been kind of snowing off and on today. It's been chilly the last few days.
It is. Which is a great segue.
Hey, unintentional.
Unintentional gains. We're talking about chili.
Chili! I don't know what that was.
Chilies. That's what I heard in my head.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking is this is a sad insight into my brain. I said chile like that, and I immediately went somewhere, and it took me a while to get there. But Boy Meets World, did you ever watch that?
Yeah.
You know,
Fine.
yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
Eric calling Mr. Feeney out. It's a good one.
Did you watch any of the reboot of that? Okay, Siri, we're done with you.
I'm telling you, man. I'm gonna take my watch off. Like the Girl Meets World.
Yeah,
or
the Girl
whatever.
Meets World.
I think we watched the first episode, and it was kind of fun, but we never really got into it.
Yeah, we watched a couple of them. I just couldn't get past how stupid Corey was.
Yeah.
Just couldn't do it. So
Yeah, he seemed pretty lame. Anyway, that was a classic. Dude, they don't make shows like they used to. Me and Whitney were talking about this. Like, the storytelling is just non-existent anymore.
Yeah, so I went on a binge. Did you ever watch the show Jag?
I vaguely remember it. I don't think I've ever watched it, but I had a buddy that was really into it.
Anyways, it was a show we watched as a family when I was a kid, and it's on Paramount, I think. So I started to binge it. The effects are so bad, so bad that I can remember being like, "Oh, this has got the coolest stuff going on." That I watched 4 or 5 episodes the other day. I was just like, "Oh, that's bad. That's really bad."
Well, even more recently, did you ever watch Chuck?
Uh-huh.
I was pretty into Chuck. I
love
started
Chuck.
watching it again, and I was like, oh my gosh, these effects are so bad. And at the time, it wasn't like, whoa, this is the pinnacle of technology, but they didn't seem as bad as they do now. Apparently, we've come a long way.
Charles Carmichael.
That's such a great show.
That's a good one. You know what I started watching again was The Big Bang Theory.
Where do you find it? I'm trying to find it.
It's on Max.
Oh, I don't have Max. I like The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I watched the first couple of episodes the other night and was just like dying. I was laughing so hard.
Oh, that's a well-written one. That and New Girl, dude. New Girl makes me laugh out loud.
New Girl. Did you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yes, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's my go-to right now for mindless entertainment.
That's like the one like truly stupid like humor show that I just can't get enough of.
It's so good, dude. It's very well written.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But
anyway, chili.
I can't breathe. This is how I know it's winter. I've got this like cough that's stuck in my throat that won't actually come
that
out.
Stays for 6 months.
Yeah, I'm talking and all of a sudden there's no more air to use. But chili.
Dude, we got notes on chili today.
We got notes.
We got a lot of info.
And it's funny, so Matt Pittman just put out another video.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
And he does one, I don't know, at least every year, I feel like. And if you want chili recipes, his website's got a bunch of really good ones. He's got 4 or 5 different chili recipes, but he was doing the over-the-top chili.
Okay.
So in the over-the-top, you make your chili, put it in a Dutch oven, and then you put that in the smoker, and you put a giant lump of ground meat over the chili. And as the meat cooks and smokes, all the drippings fall down into the chili.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So he was doing he had venison from a deer that his son shot.
Okay.
That he was using there. But he started talking about some of the history of chili that I didn't know about.
Yeah, I was reading through our notes. I didn't know about most of this either. This was a very educational, I thought.
Yeah. So chili dates like way back into the 1700s, but really got popular in Texas in the mid 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And it in Texas, like, it's all about the chili peppers.
Yeah.
So the ancho, placias, the guajillo, chipotle, all these dried chilies are the star of the show, which makes sense
Yeah.
for Texas, right?
That's what's there for sure.
A lot of Mexican influence there.
Yeah.
And it was popular with the Cowboys. Because as I was reading through this, and I had some other notes, it kind of like almost made me think of like the first MREs.
Okay.
Because they made
Makes sense.
They made it with dried beef and dried chilies out on the plain. So essentially the Cowboys would go out, they'd have all the dried ingredients, they'd put in a pot with some water
And boil her up.
and reconstitute it every night.
Heck yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah, but there were these ladies that they called them chili queens
Chili Queens.
that really made it popular, and it was in San Antonio that it really kind of took off. That I imagine in the 1800s, this being the equivalent of today's New York City hot dog cart.
Yeah. Food, street food.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Like these chili queens were out there, and people would come buy a bowl of chili.
You just roll up which makes sense. I mean, chili's one of those foods that you can just keep cooking it.
Yeah,
And eat it, and it keeps cooking, and yeah.
Well, in Pittman, he's like, I like to let mine simmer all day long, like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours.
Yeah.
And just cook and cook and cook. And the longer it cooks, the more the flavors meld, the more smoke you get into it. So I think it's awesome.
That makes sense that it would be a good like range food for the Cowboys, like on cattle drives and
Yeah,
stuff.
I had never realized that they did it with dried meat.
Yeah, where it's dried and everything, you just reconstitute it, let it kind of boil together.
Yeah.
That's probably awesome.
Yeah, like actually kind of makes me want to like dehydrate some of
Yeah,
my own
try.
and give it a shot. But as the cattle industry boomed, you got these Cowboys going further and further out, and that kind of carried chili to other parts of the country.
So it started, I think, San Antonio, right, is kind of the city that they attribute it to.
Yeah, so we'll call it modern chili, gets its roots there in San Antonio. But I mean, the Native Americans had been using chilies for this type of thing for a long, long time.
Right, and I think that, like, on our notes it says the Spanish, like, colonists at the very beginning in the 1700s were kind of using these native spices and probably melding some of those Native American flavors with maybe something I've never had Spanish food, but probably a similar situation.
Yeah.
Where they kind of made it work.
Well, and just their, like, different cooking techniques, I think, is part of
Right.
where that came from.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
but, so they did that, and eventually it landed at the World's Fair in 1893 in Chicago.
Yeah. Interesting.
Which
Was it the traditional Texas, so Texas chili, no beans, and
Yeah.
no tomatoes?
Yeah.
I knew no beans because that's a thing that Pittman always says. I didn't know you didn't put tomatoes in Texas chili.
Yeah, so chili, again, was like a Spanish, it was chili con carne. So it was chili, the chili peppers, and meat.
That makes
That's all
sense.
that it was. And that's still, like, when you talk about Texas chili, or what did the notes say they have in here? The chili red.
Yeah, the bowl of red.
Bowl of red, there you
Yeah.
go. Here it is. Texas chili or Texas red. Like, it's all about the chilies. And maybe you've got some garlic or cumin.
Right.
And then you've got the meat, and that's it.
What about, do you think, like onions and stuff? Is that just a given, or did they not put that in
Probably,
the
I don't
chili?
know. Knowing Hispanic culture, I would not be surprised for there to be onions.
Onions
in
are
there.
just part of the peppers and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
But-
that makes sense.
Yeah, so it gets popular in Texas. Cowboys are eating it. They've kind of taken it to a few other places. But then it hits the World's Fair, which I'd want to learn more about the World's Fair.
Yeah, we
I've
don't
seen
do
little
that
bits.
anymore, right? But there's so much stuff that once it hit the World's Fair was like, bam.
Yeah, well, it was, and I think today it's probably like, well, what do we need the World's Fair for? Like, you've got TikTok. Like,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
anything that's cool and happening happens at the CES trade show or happens
Right.
on the internet and you know about it. Back then, there weren't the communication means that we have today, so that's really where technology and culture got shared, was at the World's Fair.
The World's Fair, and now we kind of replace it with the internet.
Yeah, but at the World's Fair in Chicago, there was a San Antonio chili booth, essentially, and people just loved the stuff. There were 27 million people that came to the World's Fair, which seems like nothing today. When you realized in 1893 there were 30,000 people in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, that's a ton of people.
How many people did you just say?
27 million visitors.
Good heavens.
Yeah.
From literally all over the world, there probably weren't even 27 million people in the United States at that time.
I have no idea.
That's crazy.
But
And that's when people got their first taste of chili. Do you think that it was the straight up Texas red,
yeah.
no beans, no tomatoes?
Yeah, because it was, let's see, where is it? Yeah, it was at the San Antonio Chili Stand exhibit is where it was, and it was, designed to give foreigners an introduction to the Southwest cuisine, so I'm sure it was true Texas red.
Yeah, straight up.
But it just, took off. Everybody loved the stuff. And really, when you think about chili, it's easy to serve, easy to consume, and it's a real hearty meal.
Right, it fills you up. That's what I love
In a
about
bowl.
it. Is
Yeah.
that
But from there,
it's a full meal in a bowl.
you get these things called chili parlors that start popping up all over the
Yeah,
place.
I've never heard of this, and I
didn't
want to
either.
go to one. They still exist, right? They're still old remnants of them.
I don't know. This, as I read the description and kind of tried to understand more about chili parlors, I got a distinct impression of the Soup Nazi
From Seinfeld.
from Seinfeld. Yeah, this, little tiny spot, real basic. All they do is they serve chili. And maybe they've got 2 or 3 different kinds, but you get the chili and that's it. Maybe there's a spot to sit down, maybe there's not.
Right. And I picture everybody just gets chili. Maybe there's a couple things you could throw on, I'm picturing some onion or cilantro or something that you can just garnish it with, but that's pretty much it. Maybe some cheese.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely some cheddar cheese, sour cream. Do you like sour cream in yours?
I do. I don't know. Yeah, I do. I think that's safe. I like it fine without, but I do enjoy a little sour cream in there.
Yeah.
We always used to. Did you ever eat cottage cheese as a kid?
No, I think cottage cheese is the most disgusting food
That's how we
in the entire world.
I don't think I've had it since I got married. We always had it growing up. We would take any food that was too hot. We'd just dollop cottage cheese in there and mix it
Why
up.
would you put rancid milk on your food?
It would cool it down. Add a little protein. I don't know. It seems so normal at the time, but Whitney is like, that, I will never buy that.
No.
We had it all the time.
Haley and the boys love the stuff.
Yeah.
It is disgusting.
Really? Oh, man.
It is 100% a texture thing.
That's fair.
It's like, I love cheese curds,
Sure.
which
Yeah, it's the
is
same
essentially what cottage cheese is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could eat cheese curds till the cows came home, quite literally.
Well, that's all it is.
No, it's not.
Oh,
it's
man.
in a slimy, gelatinous form. And you put jam on it,
Yeah, I never did that. See, we never ate it with fruit or anything, but we would put it in shepherd's pie.
Oh.
We would put it in stew. We'd put it in everything. It would just
all
it would
I can
cool
think,
things down and
I've told the story about why I don't drink the last inch of the milk, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I call it the sketchy zone. Like, I don't touch it. Haley gave me so much crap that finally one day I dumped it on my bowl of Cheerios, and it was like chunky and nasty and disgusting. Mm-hmm. That's cottage cheese in my mind. There's nothing you can do to convince me that cottage cheese was intended to be consumed by a human being.
Ugh. I'm a big fan. But that's what I thought of. Like, whenever normal people put sour cream on things, we would put cottage cheese. With the exception of, like, tacos and stuff.
Baked potatoes?
Yeah, cottage cheese. Oh. I mean, sour cream now, but yeah, we used to put cottage cheese on that for sure. No doubt. I don't know if it's just my parents just grew up eating it like that. I don't know. But it was totally normal. I have not had it since I got married because Whitney refuses to buy it. She's like, that is disgusting.
Whitney is a saint.
Well,
she is doing you a solid.
There's a lot of truth to that. P.S. I just looked this up as we were talking about it. The last World's Fair was in Dubai in 2021.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently it wasn't, I mean, it's not really the same thing. They just call it an expo. But apparently it's just been going on for 2010, 2012, 2015, 2017. It doesn't look like there's like a pattern. It's just whenever.
The next one?
According to this, which this is just Wikipedia, Osaka, Japan. Oh, Taiwan in 2024. Japan in 2025. Belgrade, Serbia in 2027. Who's in charge of this?
I don't know.
Saudi Arabia in 2030?
I'd go to Osaka.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to chili.
Ah, chili. Sorry.
Man, we took a hard dive.
Yeah,
there.
we really did. We've done that a few times today.
But yeah, so chili parlors.
Yes.
These turned into restaurants, and chili became popular throughout the country. Mm-hmm. And we started to see different little tweaks
Variations.
and turns.
Yeah.
As you were saying, when you were in Wisconsin, which I lived just south of the border in Chicago and never had this experience.
Oh, really? See, I thought it was just a whole Midwest thing.
No, well, I say that. I can remember having like macaroni noodles and chili every once in a while.
See, there were just always noodles, and I remember spaghetti noodles when I was there was just what you did. You threw spaghetti. It was almost like chili was like your spaghetti sauce in Wisconsin, which was wild at first, and then after a while, it was just how it was.
Yeah, and that's, I think if you were going to name that, that's Cincinnati chili.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, really popular Skyline chili in Cincinnati, Ohio. I almost said Cleveland, but
is that a restaurant? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Skyline is a restaurant in Cincinnati, and they made Cincinnati chili really popular. But they serve it over spaghetti noodles, and I've had it a couple of times. I feel like it's more meaty and less spicy, chili-y.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's not a lot of spice. No. There's enough spice to know that it's not spaghetti sauce, but that's probably it.
Yeah, the analogy I used when we were talking about this is it reminds me of like Taco Bell ground beef.
Yeah.
Maybe
I have a vision in my head right now of exactly what you're talking about.
Maybe a little bit runnier, but was that what you had?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depended. Some people, it was just chili like I know it over noodles. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it felt like it was just spaghetti with a little more kick to it, honestly.
Yeah, some meat.
But also people would put it over like macaroni or like chili mac was really big. They just mix it with mac and cheese. So
yeah, chili mac. But Cincinnati chili specifically, I know really big on white onion and cheddar cheese. Just oodles of white onion.
Yeah.
Which I can get on board with.
Yeah. So I'm looking at our notes. The Midwestern style chili includes beans and tomatoes. Where did tomatoes? Because it's not in the Texas Red, the original. Where did tomatoes? You think people just had ingredients and were trying to just add more stuff to it?
I think it becomes a filler.
Yeah.
Because you and I were talking about this before. You had asked me, beans or no beans.
Yeah.
And I said, it depends on how much money I have.
Right. Seriously. Beans will make it go a lot further for a
you
little
can
less money.
stretch it really far with beans. And I think that's probably where tomatoes came into that, like,
I think you're probably right.
they pair well with chili.
Yeah.
I'm not a Puritan that I won't eat it if it's got beans in it.
Right.
I like beans just fine. Probably prefer having, pinto or kidney beans over black beans in mine. But if I've got all the money in the world, like, I'm just putting more brisket in it.
Yeah.
Like
More meat for sure.
I'm gonna put more meat in my chili to fill it up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's probably where it came from. And I mean, when it talks about this being a Midwestern chili, is where the tomatoes and the beans come in. Especially at that time in the 1800s, early 1900s, those areas of the country were hit really hard with the Depression and the impacts of the war.
When winter came, it's freezing butt cold up there. So,
oh man, yeah.
I mean, you want a more hearty, warm meal. I mean, that probably goes a long way.
Yeah. So easy to get that, and I think that's kind of what's fun about chili is everybody has their own chili. Like every family's chili is different.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you and I probably have fairly similar.
Very similar, yeah.
But what do you put in your chili?
So
other than cottage cheese.
Just straight cottage cheese, man. And then I just sprinkle a little chili dust in there. No, mine, so the best chili, and I feel like this is what I have to do now because, when you one-up yourself, you can't go backwards.
No. Once you one-up, like that's now the ground floor.
Yeah, exactly. So I watched Matt Pittman and Malcolm Reed videos, and I didn't have brisket, but I did a chuck roast that I smoked the night before, cubed it up, threw it in a chili. I did use tomatoes and I used beans, and then I threw some ancho chilies, some of the chili and adobo sauce, that kind of stuff. And then that meat church chili seasoning.
The meat church chili.
I had done all this I mean, I've talked about this I think 5 times on here, but I'd done all this research and was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to need to go to the store and spend $50 on all these different spices that I don't have in my cupboard. And I was buying pellets, and your dad was like, dude, Meat Church has a chili seasoning. Just use this. And I was like, okay.
So good.
Oh, my gosh. Like, it is incredible.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that chili.
Dude, but I don't know if I've talked about this, but when I was on my mission, they did a chili cook-off. None of us had ever cooked before. We had no idea what we were doing. We just went to the store and we had jalapenos. We had all kinds of things. We just chucked them in a blender and blended it all up.
Yeah, man.
It was so good. And we got second in this chili cook-off. And I think there were families that were pretty pissed because they have these decades old recipes that have been passed down from generation to generation. And then a couple of 19-year-olds threw some crap in a blender and were just like, yeah, try this. Anyway, it was pretty funny. So it was, it was a good one. But yeah, I think yours is very similar. I've never used brisket just because I haven't had brisket. Mm-hmm. I have thrown a little bit of pulled pork in there, which I like. I think I'll continue to do that. Have you ever put ham in chili?
No.
I've never done that either.
Weird.
I think it's weird. I have some frozen. Again, an insight into my brain. As I was speaking, I was like, pulled pork. I have frozen pulled pork. I have frozen ham in my freezer. I wonder if that'd be good to throw in.
Nope. I think it's going to be way too salty.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good point.
Nope. That's weird.
That's weird. What about ham and cottage cheese, John? Thoughts on that? I just mix up some ham and cottage cheese, sprinkle a little chili powder on there.
Oh, God.
All right, we got a lot of good ideas.
I'm going to have nightmares tonight.
You could blend it all up in a blender and just drink it like a shake,
There are not many things that make me physically gag, Mike, and you...
Oh, shoot. This is fun.
Oh, God. That's not right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Man, where was I going before you put that image in my mind?
Well, you asked me my recipe, and then I think you should share your recipe or what you do differently.
I've done brisket. I've done Chuck roast. I mean, chuck roast and the point off of the brisket, which I like using the point over the flat.
That's the fattier part.
Yeah, that like. There's a reason they call it poor man's brisket. Mm-hmm. And we were talking. I bought a whole chuck.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even know you could do it. I bought a 20-pound chuck at Costco today, and started cutting that up because we've got a family reunion down in St. George this weekend, and I'm taking shredded beef.
Do you just vacuum seal it and freeze it, or what?
Yeah, I'm just going to vacuum seal it. And take it with me, and then we'll heat it up in a crock pot.
Nice.
But, yeah, I like using that. I'm not a huge ground beef fan, just in general, but I think I'm going to do at least one chili this year with ground beef.
Yeah.
As an over-the-top chili, just to see how it goes.
So you put ground beef over the top of it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And is that cooked? So you just put it in a bowl, and then do you just take that ball and throw it in there when it's done?
You break it up, you crumble it up, and put it in the
Interesting.
chili and let it keep.
See, I hadn't
Keep
had
doing its
like
thing.
ground things pictured. I was picturing like a big chunk of roast or something cooking over the top. Interesting.
So that's that's how Pittman did his. How do you feel about white chili? Have you ever had white chili?
Oh yeah, dude. My mom makes white chili. It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan.
This is as far away from true chili as you can be.
Yeah.
But tell everyone.
This is so I don't know where my mom even found it, but we discovered it. It was like our Christmas Eve meal for a long time. She'd make this delicious homemade French bread. And then white chili had, so from what I remember, hominy was a big ingredient.
Oh, interesting.
Chicken, and I'm pretty sure there was corn in it, and just a bunch of, and then it was more of a, reminded me more of like a cream of chicken soup type of deal. But chicken obviously was the star of it, and that was it. White chicken chili, we called it. But it was, dude, it was good. I don't even know. I haven't had it for a while, but that was our Christmas Eve meal for a long time.
Interesting. So that's different than mine.
Yeah.
So mine, I use great white northern beans,
Okay.
chicken obviously, and then green chilies.
Oh yeah.
And cream, but I don't put corn in it. And I haven't ever put hominy in it, but that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a big, because I'd never even heard of it before, and that's what we threw in there. I bet there were great white northern beans in it too. Honestly, I've never made it. I've just eaten it from.
Pittman's
when my
got
mom
a
used
good
to make
recipe on the website. That last time I made white chili, I even threw a couple of spoonfuls of the chili seasoning in it.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Did it complement it well? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, added a little spice, kicked it up a notch.
Boom.
As Emeril Lagasse would say,
bam, bam. That's what it was, not boom. I haven't watched Emerald for a while. Is he still around?
he's still alive. I don't know if he.
Yeah,
I don't think he does a TV show anymore.
I guess he was getting old when I was in high school, but
yeah, he was. Yeah, let's. How old is?
How old is Emerald?
Oh, he's only 65.
Oh, he's not even that old.
He's
He
not
just
old
barely
at all.
retired. Where is he now?
I assume he's in Louisiana.
But he doesn't have any. Why Louisiana? Is that where he's from?
No, that's where he's from.
What?
Nolens.
He's got the biggest New York accent, doesn't he? Did I just make that up?
All right, let's see. Born in Falls River, Massachusetts.
Boston.
His dad was from Quebec. His mom was from Portugal.
Okay.
What did I think he was from?
Dirty Catholic.
Career.
So more of a Boston accent is what I'm hearing in my head then.
Let's see.
Yeah, he
was
opened
executive-
Emerald's in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Restaurant of the year. So that's where he really hit it, huh? Interesting.
Was named Chief Culinary Officer of Carnival Cruise Lines.
Heyo! There we go. Okay. Well, there you have it. Emerald, way to keep cruising, brother.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I am sufficiently hungry now.
me too.
And
Me too. But this was interesting. I mean, I like learning things that are somewhat interesting to me and not just like, I don't know. This is way better than a school PD day, professional development, because those are the worst.
you have one of those this week?
Next week. It's coming.
It's 2 weeks. It's the 18th, right?
That's right. Yep, it is.
I know Haley has to go to that. And I just laughed.
It's the worst. Well,
Until next time, I'm John.
I'm Mike.
And we're Fat Guys with Smokers.
Chili.
Thanks for listening to the Fat Guys with Smokers podcast. Be sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to subscribe so you don't forget to tune in for even more nonsense from a couple of Fat Guys with Smokers.
Don't forget to like, subscribe.